In the annals of history, there are few figures as enigmatic as Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt. Her story is one of political intrigue, romantic scandal, and timeless allure. But who was Cleopatra, and what were her defining characteristics that have made her such an enduring icon? To truly understand the story of Cleopatra, we must go back to the beginning. Born in 69 BCE, Cleopatra was a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which had ruled Egypt for over 300 years. Her father was Pharaoh Ptolemy XII, and her mother is believed to have been one of his consorts. From an early age, Cleopatra was groomed for power and given an education befitting a future ruler. She was fluent in several languages, including Greek, Egyptian, and Aramaic, and was well versed in the arts and sciences. Despite her privileged upbringing, Cleopatra's path to the throne was far from smooth. In 51 BCE, her father died and left her the kingdom to be divided between Cleopatra and her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. However, the two siblings quickly became embroiled in a bitter power struggle, with Cleopatra ultimately being exiled from Egypt. It was during this period of exile that Cleopatra first met Julius Caesar, the Roman general and statesman who would change the course of her life. In 48 BCE, Caesar arrived in Alexandria with his army, and Cleopatra saw an opportunity to regain her throne. Legend has it that she smuggled herself into Caesar's palace rolled up in a carpet, and the two became lovers. Cleopatra's relationship with Caesar was not just romantic, it was also strategic. She knew that aligning herself with a powerful Roman could help her regain her throne and secure her position as pharaoh. And indeed, Caesar proved to be a valuable ally. He defeated Ptolemy XIII's forces and restored Cleopatra to the throne, making her co-ruler with her younger brother. But Cleopatra's ambitions did not end there. She saw the potential for even greater power and influence by aligning herself with the Roman Empire itself. After Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE, she formed an alliance with his friend and protege, Mark Antony. The two became lovers and partners in a political and military campaign to expand their territories and cement their power. It was during this period that Cleopatra's legendary allure truly took hold. She was known for her beauty and charm, as well as her intelligence and wit. She was a master of diplomacy and strategy, able to negotiate with both Roman and Egyptian officials to secure her interests. And she was not afraid to use her sexuality as a tool of power, famously arriving at a meeting with Mark Antony on a barge decorated with gold and purple sails and a scent of exotic perfumes, dressed as the goddess Isis. The meeting was arranged to negotiate an alliance, but the extravagant display of wealth and power is said to have played a role in seducing Antony. But Cleopatra's influence extended beyond her personal relationships. She was a patron of the arts, commissioning grand architectural projects and supporting poets and musicians. She was also a scholar, with a keen interest in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Her library in Alexandria was said to have housed over 100,000 volumes, making it one of the greatest repositories of knowledge in the ancient world. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the beginning of Roman rule in Egypt. Despite her tragic end, Cleopatra's legacy has endured through the centuries. She has been portrayed in countless works of literature, art, and film, from Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra to Elizabeth Taylor's portrayal in the 1963 film Cleopatra. Her story continues to fascinate and inspire, a testament to her enduring charisma and political savvy. One of Cleopatra's defining characteristics was her intelligence and strategic thinking. She understood the political landscape of her time and was able to navigate it with skill and finesse. She knew when to make alliances and when to break them, and she was always thinking several moves ahead. Her relationship with Julius Caesar was not just a matter of personal attraction. It was a calculated move to secure her position as pharaoh. And her alliance with Mark Antony was similarly driven by political calculation, as she sought to expand her territory and consolidate her power. Another key characteristic of Cleopatra was her beauty and charm. She was known for her striking appearance and her ability to captivate those around her. Her extravagance and love of luxury only added to her allure. She was a master of seduction, using her sexuality to influence those in power. But her charm was not just superficial. She was also known for her intelligence and wit, and was respected as a skilled diplomat and strategist. Cleopatra was also a patron of the arts and sciences. She understood the value of knowledge and was a collector and patron of great works of literature and art. Her library in Alexandria was one of the greatest in the ancient world, and she supported scholars and intellectuals from across the Mediterranean. She was also interested in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, and was a respected scholar in her own right. Cleopatra's life and legacy have been subject to much interpretation and revision over the centuries. The primary sources for her life come from Roman historians, who were often hostile to her and portrayed her as a seductress and a threat to Roman power. But more recent scholarship has sought to recover Cleopatra's voice and present a more nuanced portrait of her life and times. One of the key themes in modern interpretations of Cleopatra is her position as a woman in a male-dominated world. As the last pharaoh of Egypt, she was one of the few women in the ancient world to hold such a position of power. But her reign was constantly threatened by the machinations of her male relatives and the Roman powers that sought to control Egypt. She had to navigate a complex web of alliances and betrayals, all while contending with the expectations placed on her as a woman ruler. Cleopatra was also a symbol of resistance against Roman imperialism. Her alliance with Mark Antony was seen as a threat to Roman power, and her defeat at Actium marked the end of Egyptian independence. But her legacy as a figure of resistance has endured, particularly in African and Middle Eastern cultures, where she is celebrated as a symbol of national pride and resistance to Western imperialism. Another important aspect of Cleopatra's legacy is her impact on art and literature. From Shakespeare's play to Hollywood films, Cleopatra has been a source of inspiration for artists and writers throughout the ages. Her story has been retold in countless forms, each reflecting the cultural and political context of its time. But even as her story has been adapted and reimagined, Cleopatra's enduring allure has remained a constant theme. Cleopatra's story also speaks to broader themes of power and politics. Her life was marked by political maneuvering and the pursuit of power, themes that continue to resonate today. Her story is a reminder of the complex interplay between personal ambition and larger historical forces, and the ability of individuals to shape their own destinies. Cleopatra's life and legacy have also been the subject of controversy and debate. Her portrayal in ancient Roman sources has often been criticized for its bias and misogyny. In recent years, there has been a growing effort to recover Cleopatra's voice and present a more accurate and nuanced portrayal of her life and times. One of the key challenges in understanding Cleopatra's legacy is the lack of primary sources from her own perspective. Most of what we know about her comes from Roman historians who were hostile to her and saw her as a threat to Roman power. This has led to a portrayal of Cleopatra as a seductress and a manipulator, rather than a skilled politician and ruler in her own right. However, there have been efforts to recover Cleopatra's voice and present a more balanced portrayal of her life and legacy. One of the key sources for this has been her own coinage, which features images of Cleopatra in traditional Egyptian dress, rather than the Greek-styled clothing favored by earlier Ptolemaic rulers. This has led some scholars to argue that Cleopatra was actively seeking to promote an image of herself as a traditional Egyptian ruler, rather than a Hellenistic one. Another important source for understanding Cleopatra's legacy has been her patronage of the arts and sciences. Cleopatra was a renowned scholar and patron of the arts, commissioning grand architectural projects and supporting poets and musicians. Her library in Alexandria was one of the greatest in the ancient world, and she was known for her support of scholars and intellectuals from across the Mediterranean. Cleopatra's patronage of the arts and sciences has been seen as a reflection of her broader political vision. She saw Egypt as a center of cultural and intellectual life, and sought to promote its greatness through the patronage of the arts. Her support of scholars and intellectuals was also a way of cementing her own power and legitimacy by aligning herself with the best minds of her time. Despite her efforts to promote a positive image of herself, Cleopatra's legacy has been subject to much interpretation and revision over the centuries. In the early modern period, she was seen as a symbol of female power and independence, and was celebrated by feminists and women writers. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, she was seen as a decadent and corrupt ruler, and was often portrayed as a femme fatale in popular culture. In more recent years, there has been a growing effort to recover Cleopatra's voice and present a more accurate and nuanced portrayal of her life and legacy. This has involved a re-evaluation of the Roman sources that have shaped our understanding of her, as well as a greater emphasis on the Egyptian and African perspectives on her reign. One of the key themes in modern interpretations of Cleopatra is her position as a woman ruler in a male-dominated world. As the last pharaoh of Egypt, she was one of the few women in the ancient world to hold such a position of power. But her reign was constantly threatened by the machinations of her male relatives and the Roman powers that sought to control Egypt. She had to navigate a complex web of alliances and betrayals, all while contending with the expectations placed on her as a woman ruler. Cleopatra's story also speaks to broader themes of power and politics. Her life was marked by political maneuvering and the pursuit of power, themes that continue to resonate today. Her story is a reminder of the complex interplay between personal ambition and larger historical forces, and the ability of individuals to shape their own destinies. However, Cleopatra's fortunes took a turn for the worse in 31 BCE, when she and Mark Antony were defeated by Caesar's adopted son and heir, Octavian, in the Battle of Actium. Antony and Cleopatra fled to Egypt. They ultimately committed suicide, rather than face the humiliation of capture by Octavian. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty, and the beginning of Roman rule in Egypt. Finally, Cleopatra was a survivor. She faced numerous challenges throughout her life, from the power struggles with her brother to the defeat at Actium. But she was always able to bounce back, using her intelligence and charisma to overcome adversity. Even in death, she was able to shape her legacy, ensuring that her story would be remembered for generations to come. Cleopatra was a complex and multifaceted figure, and one who embodied the political intrigue and timeless allure of ancient Egypt. Her intelligence, beauty, and charm were legendary, and her legacy continues to inspire and captivate us to this day. She was a woman ahead of her time, a skilled diplomat and strategist, a patron of the arts and sciences, and a survivor in the face of great adversity. Her story is a reminder of the enduring power of charisma and the ability of individuals to shape their own destinies. Cleopatra's story is a testament to the enduring power of charisma and the ability of individuals to shape their own destinies. She was a woman of remarkable intelligence and strategic thinking, as well as beauty and charm. Her life was marked by the political intrigue and pursuit of power, and her legacy has endured through the ages. She remains a source of fascination and inspiration, a symbol of resistance against imperialism, and a reminder of the enduring power of charisma and the ability of individuals to shape history.